What's up, guys? This is Talk About Games, and we're talking about the PlayStation 4 Pro. It's the newest system from Sony. It's not a new console generation, but it is a new system.
Now, this is the original PlayStation 4 here. This is the Batman Arkham Knight version. But if you see this, if you compare it with the PlayStation Pro, it is a little smaller. You can see this is sort of like 2 decks. This is 3. This one kind of looks like a giant cheeseburger. It's pretty funny. So the real difference between the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation Pro is that pretty much this one just has an updated graphics card.
The other thing I want to mention is this thing runs hot, which is something crazy. We had it running several hours today, and
it was really hot.
It was really hot. And
you could crack an egg on that thing.
Yeah, oh my God. And
then put it on, it's like cracking an egg on a burger.
And the other thing, yeah, right, because it looks like a burger. The other thing I want to mention is they went from like the regular 2-pronged power cord, the thin one,
right,
to this like PC style, I think it's called a NEMA power cord.
Okay.
So, you know, it is bigger, it runs hot. It's definitely, that graphics card's definitely heating it up and more power and everything.
Yeah.
I do want to mention also that this system only has 1 terabyte of disk space, and as we get into the 4K era and the games have the big textures and everything, you're only going to be able to fit a few games on this.
You can't buy all the games on disc, right? Isn't it only that some of them are available on disc and some of them you can download, right?
Absolutely.
So if you need to download them, you're gonna need that hard drive space.
Or you're gonna be swapping them in and out.
Yeah, and that sucks.
That does suck. But even if you have the disc, usually the data on the disc is compressed and you still have to do an install.
That's true.
Right? So going with 1 terabyte for the first 4K system seems a little short-sighted.
Right. So when talking about buying the system is like $400. Like, it's not just that, because then you got to buy the games. And honestly, yeah, you could get the lower hard drive in it, which is less expensive, but really you're going to want the bigger hard drive if you're going to be playing the system a good amount. So it's actually more expensive than that,
right?
You know,
yeah.
If you're playing it a lot, at least.
Absolutely. The big thing about the PS4 Pro is that in addition to being a little larger, it's also significantly more powerful. The PS4 clocked in at around 1.83 teraflops, and this machine clocks in
at 4.2.
At 4.2. So you say going from 1.8 to 4.2, that would mean that it should have crazy new games that...
You would think so. See, my thing is, I don't care that much about the technical specs and how powerful it is. I just care about what kind of games am I going to be able to play, and it doesn't seem like it's going to make much of a difference. Now, there are certain games...
There's certain games that have improvements. They're calling them like PS4 Pro enhanced games. When we printed out this list of all of the changes to the games, and they really break the changes down into 2 categories. There's what does the PS4 Pro mean at 1080p, and what does the PS4 Pro mean at 4K?
Right.
Because it can do 4K. And just going through the list, I mean, just a basic thing is, if you're at 1080p and your game has this enabled, it may have more lighting effects, more shader effects. Anti-aliasing may be better, those kind of things. If you have the game at 4K, it's going to be at 4K.
Sure.
There's been reports in the news of the 4K versions of these games having frame rate issues. There's many games on this list where it says it's 4K, but it's really rendering it at 2160p, which is 2K, and then upscaling it. So it's really a mixed bag. Is the PS4 Pro really a 4K system? Well, looking at this list, it's not. It's basic games at 4K, things like Skyrim that came out a long time ago, and newer games at 4K where they're being upscaled or there's some issue with it.
So I want to talk about whether or not this is actually worth buying, you know? So I thought about it, and the only reason I can really come up with to buy this thing is because of the VR headset. Now, if you use this headset with the original PlayStation 4, versus whether if you use it with the PlayStation 4 Pro, the games do look better when you have the headset on. A little bit. It's not a gigantic difference.
Right.
For example, if you use the HTC Vive, that looks amazing. Now, one of the things I do like about the PlayStation 4 headset here, or the VR headset, is that I like actually wearing this. It actually feels really good. I feel like when you have this on your head, it feels a lot better than the Vive. The Vive is very heavy, but if you're going to have one, you're gonna really wanna get the HTC Vive, but it really comes down to a question of budget. The Vive is much more expensive than this is. So if you don't have, if you don't have the money for it, if you don't have the budget for it, you're gonna go for the, for the PlayStation VR. The other thing to consider is if you want to get the Vive, you also have to have the computer to go along with it, which is also very expensive. So this is the budget-friendly option of being able to do virtual reality. And for that reason, yeah, it would be worth it, but here's the problem. If you already have a PlayStation 4, is it worth it just to make that upgrade to getting a PlayStation 4 Pro?
This is not, if you have a PlayStation 4, this is not $400 better. We just have to face facts. There's no games as of today that you need this to play.
So if you're on a budget and you do not have a PlayStation 4 yet, then this is all worth it. Then definitely buy it. Games look good, and it's not bad. Like we played some virtual reality games with this. They're pretty good, but would I rather play the Vive any day of the week?
Earlier in the season, we picked up the 2 terabyte Xbox One S, which isn't as powerful as this. It has some 4K features, like you could play 4K video.
Right.
It has the high dynamic range.
We did that. We watched Mad Max on it. It looked awesome. And they're advertising this thing as a 4K system. I know they're not saying that it plays 4K movies, but it's just like, if it's supposed to be able to play 4K games, don't you think it would be able to do both? Especially, this is already out, it's been out, it can do that, and this can't? It kind of makes PlayStation look a little crappy.
This is just the Slim. This is the equivalent of the PS4 Slim.
Right.
They have Project Scorpio coming next year, which will be even more powerful. And I think that's really going to be the judge of where the PS4 Pro fits. If you look at Project Scorpio and it does the same things as the PS4 Pro, then, whatever. But this one will be great.
You know, it's funny, we're this far into this, and like Nintendo's still playing the same games. The Xbox Scorpio is going to be 6 teraflops. This is 4, and the Nintendo Switch is going to be like 1.5. And it's like, that's the same thing that's been going on since forever. Nintendo never tries to win that race, but Nintendo never really has to, because they always throw in the gimmick or the, which they're kind of doing again. I feel like we're seeing the same thing again that we saw in the last generation.
It's like Groundhog Day. The same battle is repeated day after day and nothing changes. But I think that this is the worst Christmas ever, especially for Nintendo. I don't know where they are. They're lost. Like, we're going to find them on milk cartons or out in the woods or something like that. But, Nintendo has nothing. What do they have? What was
They have Dance Party, right? What's the name of the game? Can we find the actual name? Just Dance 2017. It's for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Wii U, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and original Wii. So that's what you got coming this Christmas. Just Dance 2017 for Wii. Okay. We should do a video on that, for the Wii version.
Yeah, we should just do that, because it's like who? It's
are you kidding?
Who's doing that? Wii's are $25. People are using them to hold doors open and I don't know. Why is that game coming out? It's ridiculous. But that's all Nintendo has, and then they have the NES Classic that no one can buy or find because all the scalpers bought them.
Well, I'm still using the Wii because the Wii has component.
Yeah.
Here we
go.
There you go. I'm gonna go into this. Where the GameCube, if you want to do a good signal, an RGB signal, you got to get the damn thing modded. But if you just buy a Nintendo Wii, you're good to go.
There's HDMI adapters for the Wii.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to plug it into a medical monitor.
Good for you.
Okay.
Well, that's a personal problem. We're talking about the PS4 Pro.
Oh, wait. Yeah. What were we talking about?
Everybody's talking about this new mid-console refresh thing like it's brand new. But Nintendo did it before with the Game Boy Color.
Yeah, a long time ago they had that, yeah.
Yeah, so basically we had the original Game Boy, which was like the PS4 is now. And then you had the Game Boy Pocket, which was a little more powerful. but the games were the same. It didn't really affect anything. And then they had
games that were specifically for the Game Boy Color. Where do they have games that are specifically for the PlayStation Pro?
See, they don't have that yet. With the Game Boy Color, there was like the regular gray cartridges. Then there was like that blackish gray that worked on both.
There's like clear ones, right?
And then there were the clear ones that just worked on the Game Boy Color. So, I mean, Nintendo managed to pull this off, but they were super subtle about it. I thought that was great. As a kid, I never felt like I needed to go out and get a Game Boy Color because they definitely bridged the gap. Whereas with this, the marketing, they're beating us over the head with teraflops and VR and all these things.
But the thing is, Nintendo made it fun. They're like, listen, you can get a yellow Game Boy, and you can get clear cartridges and stuff. That was fun. Where this is like, well, this has this many. It's like math. It's like, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, basically, Sony and Microsoft have created this like playground pissing contest where it's like, exactly. I got this many teraflops, and when you looked at the Super Nintendo versus the Genesis, it was like freaking fun. It's like they got Streets of Rage, we have Mario World. Like, it was so much about the games.
Yeah, and back then you could tell the difference when it went from NES 8-bit to Super Nintendo 16-bit, or Master System to Genesis or any of that. It's like you could tell the difference. This whole thing of having like PlayStation 4 Pro in between, how about just don't have that console at all. Let's just wait a few more years and then come out with the PlayStation 5 and have it be unbelievable and have it blow our minds.
If you need a upgrade guide to find out what's different about the game, where you're like, oh, okay. Well, if I play Hitman with a 4K display, a whole new layer of detail is added.
Yeah.
But if I play it at 1080p, I'm going to have high quality shading and less flickering. Which one do I want?
Right.
Like, the fact that I need this is bullshit.
At what point does it...
I don't want that.
At what point does it not matter? And it's like, I don't think any of that matters. And, you were saying earlier, the Switch has 1.5 teraflops. The Scorpio's got 6 teraflops. This one's got 4.8 teraflops. This thing is a fucking flop. Because it's... What are they doing?
It's so dumb, and you need to have a special TV with special set. I'm gonna need HDR10 versus Dolby Vision. There's so much crap, and none of it has to do with the controller in your hand playing the game. And I mean, it's awful. All the shit's going back. They won't
should go back.
It's all going back. We're gonna give it a Viking funeral. We're gonna put it on a boat and just burn it.
Good.
All of it. Just burn it in hellfire. I'm done.